Hello, PascoMath grade 7 teachers. Today we're going to look at the last part of 7.RP.1.2, part D. So again, we're looking at recognize and represent proportional relationships between quantities. This time, really focus on part D that says explain what a point XY on the graph of a proportional relationship means in terms of the situation, with special attention to the points 0, 0 and 1, R, where R is the unit rate. We unpack the standard a little bit. Students need to be able to explain what the point XY on the graph of a proportional relationship means in terms of the situation, paying really special attention to point 0, 0, the origin, and 1, R, making that connection that R is the unit rate. So let's look at some things that the teacher can do in the classroom to create the conditions for learning around this standard. Again, present students with verbal descriptions of a proportional relationship and build the graphical representation with the students. And so again, we've already made tables, we've made equations, now we're moving to that graphical representation. Be sure students give input on the labels for the XY axes. Again, we need to make sure that we're attending to precision there and making sure we're labeling our axes. Facilitate discussion about the graph with students, asking them for the meaning of individual points. Ask them to justify the response. So when we do pick points out on the graph, really, what does that mean in terms of X and Y, and what does X and Y represent? Have students compare graphs that show proportional relationships and talk with the partner what they notice. Hopefully they make a lot of connections about the proportional relationship needs to be a straight line, does go through the origin. Focus on those points again, 0, 0, and 1, R, the origin and the unit rate. And sometimes use points that aren't whole numbers, points where students need to estimate the coordinates to figure out what the unit rate might be. So let's transition to what the students should be doing. Again, they need to explain the meaning of the point on the graph in the context of the situation with emphasis on point 1, R. Students should be able to explain examples in words. So again, it's a great opportunity for standard for mathematical practice 3. Construct valuable arguments and critique the reasoning of others. They also need to discover that graph proportional relationships are straight lines that go through the origin. Some misconceptions students might have with this standard is students might think that the line stops at the origin. And so we know, let's say for an example, just a situation over here. I just have how many miles you run each day or over the amount of days. And so we have some points, 0, 0. We have the point, if we go here, that's 1, and it goes up 1, 2, 3. So this point here, 1R, is actually 1, 3. So first we want to make some sense of that, have students really say verbally, like, what does that mean, maybe in writing. And so for each day, whoever is running 3 miles. And so on day 2, we would expect the person to run 6 miles. So this point, 2, 6. And then we have 0.39 and so forth. Teacher could show that the line continues in the quadrant 3, but the points might not be appropriate given the context. And so this would be a good example of that. So this line does continue down here. However, in quadrant 3, like if we're talking about 1 day ago or -1 days, I didn't run -3 miles. And so like that doesn't make sense in this context. And so that's why this line would actually stop at the origin for the context of the problem. So we can talk about that, making sure that students understand the concept of a line versus, maybe starting at the origin and going on from there. We're also going to have some conversation about, like, should we draw a line? Is this discrete versus continuous data? I know that's a grade 8 standard, but that conversation should start here. Justification of I just connect the dots to draw a line isn't what we want happening in our math classrooms. And so anytime that we are connecting the different points on the graph, we want to make sure that those pieces do exist. Like between day 1 and day 2, can I run partial part of the miles? Like, does that make sense in this context? And I would say no. In this context, it's very discrete. Each day I'm running 3 miles. So that's it for 7.RP.1.2 Part D and all of 7.RP.1.2. That was a very meaty standard there. If you have questions, feel free to contact me or your regional specialist, and thank you for making PascoMath more awesome.